Welcome to Watchman on the Wall, a daily outreach of Southwest Radio Ministries and SWRC.com. God is still on the throne, and prayer changes things. This week, we celebrate the 40th anniversary of J.R. Church's classic work, Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms. We remember Reformation Day and its lasting impact, and Josh Davis will have the latest headlines from the end times. Each year, we produce a calendar to raise funds for our Onesimus Prison Ministry. This special ministry provides Bibles, prayer, and encouragement to prisoners across the country. This year, our calendar theme is Beyond the Veil. Created by Marginal Mysteries host Micah Van Huss, the Beyond the Veil 2026 calendar includes stunning imagery, a guide for reading through the Bible in a year, the major Jewish holidays, and a special Get One, Give Two feature. That means each calendar ordered provides 2 free calendars for incarcerated individuals through our prison ministry. This calendar, with its one-of-a-kind images, is perfect for daily encouragement, Bible study inspiration, or as a meaningful gift. Order your Beyond the Veil calendar today when you call 1-800-652-1144. That's 1-800-652-1144. You can also order on our website, SWRC.com. This year's calendar is truly one that you don't want to miss out on, so order your calendar today. 1-800-652-1144. Josh Davis is here to help us over the next few days as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of J.R. Church's best-selling book, Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms.
Reverend J.R. Church saw many parallels between historical events and the book of Psalms. He asked some really interesting questions like, could there be a connection between the number of the Psalms and the years in the 1900s? Now, he was not dogmatic about these connections, nor did he press the text of Scripture to set exact dates. But Reverend J.R. Church noted many striking insights gleaned from his study on the book of Psalms. So the audio that you'll hear today was first recorded in the 20th century. So please keep that in mind when you hear him mention things like this century. He also mentions the Palestine Post in today's episode. That was later changed to the Jerusalem Post as it's known today. Now here's Reverend Church with his classic teaching on what he called the incredibly cryptic Psalms.
To some, the Psalms appear to be just simple songs of the Jewish people. They make nice reading at funerals and other special occasions, and sometimes are included in sermons for practical purposes. There are certain Psalms which seem to stand out among the others. We teach them to our children. Psalm 1, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Or Psalm 23, The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Or Psalm 46, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. But for the most part, they have been relegated by the ecclesiastical community to the position of platitudes with little regard that they might contain profound prophecies. Though they represent the heartbeat of an ancient Jewish culture, they may also have within them the cryptic language of a prophet. Do the Psalms declare a prophetic design? Was David, the sweet singer of Israel, a prophet in his own right? Would God have allowed David, a man after God's own heart, to write so many of the Psalms without including in them his great plan of the ages? Furthermore, since prophecy was so important in the religious thinking of early Judaism, would not he also have provided prophecies in their music, in the songs of the people? Another question. Were the Psalms compiled in chronological order, perhaps even in numerical order, according to the events predicted for the last century? Why not? Psalm 1 appears to be an introduction of that future generation, which would see the budding of the fig tree. As the psalmist wrote, He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. What an interesting way to introduce both a set of Psalms and the 20th century. By the time we get to Psalm 100, we appear to have the establishment of the millennial kingdom. Is it possible that Psalm 100 spoke cryptically of the kingdom? Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. For the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. Why not? As incredible as it may seem, it is not impossible that God could have organized the first 100 Psalms to represent, in a cryptic way, the events of the 20th century. One cannot be dogmatic on the subject, but even if they were not numbered as they are, they would still appear to represent, in some uncanny way, the chronology of events in this generation. For example, let's pick a year, and then go to the psalm with the corresponding number to see if we can find some statement, some sentence, or some phrase that would seem to correspond with the events of that year. For instance, let's take the year 1917, when General Allenby and the British Army surrounded the city of Jerusalem. The night before his impending invasion, Allenby, being a Christian, prayed. He asked the Lord to allow him to take the city without destroying the holy places. The next morning, he sent a couple of airplanes over the city. As they buzzed the eastern gate, one of the pilots dropped a note demanding surrender, signed by General Allenby. The Turks had never seen an airplane before and were frightened by the strange craft. According to reports, the name of Allenby further frightened them. For you see, the word Allah in Arabic means God, and the word Beh means son. They were looking at a demand for surrender signed by Allah Beh, the Son of God. In response, they hoisted the white flag and surrendered the city without firing a single shot. The unusual event appeared to be a prophetic fulfillment of Isaiah 31:5, which says, "As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it." Well, let's see what Psalm 17 might have to say about that event in 1917. "Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings." Could that be another cryptic reference to the wings of those British planes? Observe verse 12. "Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey." The lion is the symbol of Great Britain. But of course, it must be just a coincidence that Psalm 17 appears to contain a cryptic description of that which occurred in the 17th year of this century. But there is more. Could the Psalms contain cryptic references to the events of this century? Further, could they be arranged in numerical order, corresponding to the very year when each major event occurred in the budding of the Jewish fig tree? Well, let's consider the highlights of the Holocaust. In 1932, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. Thus began an ever-increasing campaign against the Jews. The world, however, turned a deaf ear. They appeared to be blind to the increasing German persecution of the Jewish community. Psalm 32, verses 3 and 4, seems to describe the unbelieving attitude of the Jewish world. "When I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. For day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. My moisture is turned into the drought of summer." The world just couldn't believe the reports coming out of Germany. Surely the German people couldn't be so barbaric. By March 15, 1933, the Palestine Post, a Jewish newspaper in Jerusalem, began to take note of Jewish persecution. The headline read, "Jews flee Nazi reign of terror. London hears of appalling persecutions and anti-Jewish measures." As the months progressed, Hitler developed his ideology of a German super race. He claimed Aryan supremacy, a pure bloodline to rule the world. And 1935 appears to be a picture of his continuing persecution against the Jews. Could Psalm 35 also refer to the growing menace as the world approached the 35th year of this century? Plead my cause, O Lord, with them that strive with me. Fight against them that fight against me. From the Palestine Post, October 28, 1935, came this headline: Nazis apply Nuremberg laws against the Jews in Germany. Jews in Germany may no longer participate actively or passively in municipal elections, although they must continue to pay municipal taxes. The announcement explained that since the Jews are no longer citizens of the Reich, they are automatically deprived of their municipal citizenship rights. Then the plot thickens. By 1938, things were really getting bad in Germany. And the 38th Psalm includes these words: But I, as a deaf man, heard not, and I was as a dumb man that openeth not his mouth. Thus I was as a man that heareth not, and in whose mouth are no reproofs. But mine enemies are lively, and they are strong, and they that hate me wrongfully are multiplied. Nazi crimes against the Jewish people were so fierce they were hard to believe. Most of the world turned a deaf ear to the atrocities. It seemed that few spoke out against Hitler. On November 11, 1938, however, the Palestine Post brandished this headline: Nazi hooligans vent wrath on the Jews throughout Germany. 2 days later, the Palestine Post published this headline: New Nazi savagery spells doom of Jewish life in Germany. According to the report, Jews were hiding in the woods outside Berlin. There were reports of torture and murder. By 1939, the situation was getting worse. Still, however, there was little outcry from around the world. Yet in some incredible way, Psalm 39 seemed to capture the spirit of the year. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. I was dumb with silence, I held my peace, even from good, and my sorrow was stirred. My heart was hot within me. While I was musing, the fire burned. Could this be a cryptic description of those horrifying events that fell upon the Jews of Germany? By 1941, the situation worsened. Perhaps we can read of it in Psalm 41. Mine enemies speak evil of me. When shall he die and his name perish? All that hate me whisper together against me. Against me do they devise my hurt. In the midst of the pressure, as Jews were herded into the concentration camps of Germany and Poland, the main question must have been, when will this terrible atrocity be over? In 1942, the situation worsened. Can we see it in Psalm 42? My tears have been my meat day and night, while they continually say unto me, Where is thy God? I will say unto God my rock, Why hast thou forgotten me? Why go I mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? By 1943, the German nation and their diabolical Hitler had launched a terrible Holocaust against the Jews. Before it was over, 6 million Jews were slaughtered and their bodies burned in the awful ovens of the concentration camps. Psalm 43, Judge me, O God, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. Could that be a cryptic reference to Germany and Hitler? Also, is there a relationship in the number of the psalm with the year when each event took place? Of this we can only speculate, yet the comparison is uncanny.
Friends, we're listening to a classic teaching by Reverend J.R. Church. SWRC has just brought this message out of the vault to make it available to you for the first time in many years. You're listening to part 1 of this series taught by Reverend Church, and the audio series is available as a 5-disc set called Those Incredibly Cryptic Psalms. We also have a DVD teaching called The Prophetic Psalms. It's a video presentation by Reverend Church. Last but not least, we have the classic book by Reverend Church called The Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms. You can purchase all 3 together, or you can purchase one by itself, whether that's the audio CD 5-disc set, the individual DVD presentation, and this book, Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms. It's available through Southwest Radio Ministries. You can order today by visiting swrc.com. That's swrc.com, or give us a call. Our toll-free number, 1-800-652-1144. Again, that's 1-800-652-1144, 800-652-1144, or visit swrc.com. Now let's rejoin Reverend Church as he continues exploring what he called the incredibly cryptic Psalms.
Do the Psalms contain cryptic references to the events in this century? Furthermore, are they numbered according to the years of each event? For example, what happened in 1944? Can we read of it in Psalm 44? But thou hast cast off and put us to shame. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen. Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Awake! Why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise! Cast us not off forever. What an incredible description of Hitler's Holocaust. And you know, it seemed that the Lord did awaken that year and hear the cry of the distraught Jewish people. For in the next psalm, it appears that the war was turned against the enemies of God's chosen people. Psalm 45. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. And in thy majesty ride prosperously because of truth and meekness and righteousness. And thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the king's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Yes, 1945 saw the suicide of Adolf Hitler and the devastation of the German army. 6 million Jews were dead, however, a third of the world's Jewish population. But wait a minute. All is not lost, for a promise appears in the last 2 verses of Psalm 45. Instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, and thou mayest make princes in all the earth. I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations. Though a generation of German Jews had been brutally butchered, their children were to return to their ancient homeland, establish a government, be made princes in all the earth, and, according to the psalm, make the world to remember in all generations those who suffered the Holocaust. But surely these psalms are not prophecies. They must be only a coincidence that they seem to go so well and seem to so graphically describe, from a Jewish perspective, those years in this century which have affected the Jewish people. On the other hand, is there a phrase in Psalm 46 which appears to represent the events of 1946? As a matter of fact, there is. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He maketh wars to cease, wrote the psalmist, and that could well characterize the year. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, he maketh wars to cease. From one end of the earth to the other, He maketh wars to cease. According to the New York Times, on May 2nd, 1945, Adolf Hitler committed suicide, and within the week, the war in Europe was ended. On August 7th, 1945, the first atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. 2 days later, another bomb was loosed on Nagasaki, and by August 15th, 1945, Japan surrendered, thus ending World War II. For the first time in oh so long, New Year's Day 1946 witnessed a world at peace. What an incredible statement to be found in Psalm 46. He maketh wars to cease. From that point, the Jewish people across Europe set out to return to Palestine. The thrust of the year was, let's go home. Psalm 46, verses 4 through 6. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, he shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. And 1947 witnessed a struggle for Israel's ancient inheritance. The year appears to be described in Psalm 47. He shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loved. But surely these statements in the Psalms must be coincidental. Psalm 47 could not possibly be a description of 1947, or could it? What about 1948? For that was the year for the birth of the baby. The nation of Israel was born. Psalm 48, great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. On May 14th, 1948, the flag of the Israeli nation was hoisted over the land for the first time in 1813 years. Throughout the Jewish world, there was rejoicing and gladness. The emotion of the occasion was electric among the Jews. The Gentile world, however, did not view the rebirth of the state of Israel with the same enthusiasm, especially the British, for they had been driven out of the land. It was an awesome and troubling scene as the British witnessed those birth pangs of travail. Just a coincidence, of course, but Psalm 48 appears to describe those events which occurred in the 48th year of this century. For lo, the kings were assembled. They passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain, as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish. The ships of Tarshish, said the psalmist, an unbelievably accurate description of the British, those men of Tarshish, as they boarded their ships in the harbor at Haifa and pushed off into the Mediterranean. They had seen the incredible woman in travail. Yes, Psalm 48 seems to present an uncanny description of those events fulfilled in 1948. What is even more incredible is the number of the psalm which described those events. Psalm 48. Just in case the Lord had his hand in the numbering of these psalms, then we should be able to look at verse 13 and see that it marks the beginning of a special generation. Mark ye well her bulwarks, consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generation following. Thus begins a special generation, like the one described by Jesus in Matthew 24, when he told the parable of the fig tree and said, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. That is the parable, and this is the generation. How incredible it is that the promise is made in Psalm 49, which appears to represent that first year, following the rebirth of the state of Israel, the budding of the fig tree. Remember, that was the subject in Psalm 1, he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. The budding of the fig tree. Now we can begin to understand the prophecies. God appears to be lifting the proverbial veil from the eyes of his people. Prophecies which were heretofore not understood are beginning to make sense. And the return of the Jewish people to their ancient land represents the key that unlocks the door to the understanding of prophecy. So far, we have reviewed many of the first 49 Psalms, which appear to contain cryptic descriptions of those events which literally took place in the year numbered by each particular psalm. If that is true of the first 49 Psalms, is it also true of the next 51? Can we pick out a year in the life of Israel since 1948 and find references to it in the corresponding psalm numbered, perhaps according to that particular year? What about 83? I guess we'll just have to wait till next week's program. But don't miss it. Those incredible cryptic psalms.
Today, we're excited to announce the special 40th anniversary edition of J.R. Church's best-selling book, Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms. This book became one of J.R. Church's most popular teachings of all time. Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms points out many parallels between historical events and the book of Psalms. This special 40th anniversary edition is available right now when you call 800-652-1144. That's 800-652-1144. You can also order this timeless work on our website, swrc.com. In addition to this special anniversary edition of Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms, we also have J.R. Church's 5-CD set entitled Those Incredibly Cryptic Psalms. And we have his DVD, The Prophetic Psalms. All three items, the book, DVD, and 5-CD set, are available as a collection when you call 800-652-1144 or visit swrc.com. J.R. Church's Hidden Prophecies in the Psalms. 1-800-652-1144. Tomorrow, J.R. Church will continue his study of the hidden prophecies in the Psalms. Be sure to tune in by downloading our free SWRC mobile app. Watchman on the Wall is a production of Southwest Radio Ministries and is supported by faithful friends like you. To learn more, visit swrc.com.